What's up, guys? It's Justin with Sticker Shuttle. A lot of people ask me how I set up my cut files, what I do to make sure it's cut ready and speed up the process, but a lot of print shops as well are having issues with their process. So I'm going to walk you through the process all the way from the beginning, from the time I get the file as a PNG, JPEG, EPS, SVG, all the way to the point where I send it to the cut file and to the software to show you exactly this process. So let's go ahead and start. This is going to be a bit of a raw video, not a lot of editing, so if I mess up, I'm sorry. If I misspeak, correct me in the comments. But so the first thing I do is if I get a JPEG, right, this is worst case scenario because JPEG doesn't have any transparency. When I say worst case scenario, I don't mean this is a pain in the butt or anything like that, but it doesn't come with transparency, which means I have to manually create the cut lines. So what I've done here is you can see on my screen here, I have this file here. I'm going to go ahead and just pull it up so you can actually see what it looks like. And that way you can get an idea of what we're working with. So the customer sent in this file. It is a JPEG. There's a white background, but it has good, easy cut shapes. So this is a good one to use. So you're going to go ahead and hit Create New File. And let's go ahead and just start with the basic 5" by 5". Most stickers are going to be 3 inches. So let's go ahead and do 5" by 5". You want to make sure that you're in CMYK. RGB won't print properly, so the colors might look different. So make sure you're in CMYK. I always do 300 ppi. It'll, in my cutting software, it will scale down if I need to, but 300 ppi just gives me the highest output resolution, default preview, and you don't have to mess with anything else here. So you're going to go ahead and hit create. You can name it here. So let's go ahead and name this. My normal pattern is, the name of the company _ sticker, which is the type. Sometimes if it's a banner or holographic or glitter, I'll put holo, glitter, banner. And in this case, you are worthy, and we're going to hit create. This might take a second because the screen software is a little bit slowing of the computer. All right, so you got your file here. This is your artboard, okay? You'll see as I click things, the yellow will pop up. Just look out for that. I'm not going to explain as much where I'm clicking, but so let's go ahead and drag this file, and as you can see, it's massive. It's 15 inches by 15 inches. We're going to bring this down to 3 inches. Again, that's not going to be perfect because as you can see here, it is a JPEG with a white border, so the actual heart isn't 3 inches, but we'll fix that. So I'm going to center it, align, vertical and horizontal, and I'm going to hit this embed button up here. This basically it puts it into the file so that if I were to get the file, it has the highest possible resolution for that file. It's not going to load in some offline loaded version or online loaded version or anything like that. So you have the file here. I'm going to hit Control-C or Command-C if you're on Mac, and then Control-Shift-V, and again Command-Shift-V if you're on Mac. So now what this has done is it's created an identical copy right on top of itself. You won't see it, but it's there. You're going to hit this little down arrow on the image trace button, and you're going to hit the silhouette button. What this has done is it's basically taken the contour of the entire image and traced it. Sometimes you have to edit this a bit, so you can hit this little button up here, the image trace panel, and this will pop up. The most you can do is 249 without it taking up the entire white background, but you can do things like ignore color. Right now I have it default set to ignore white because most of the time I'm trying to get rid of the white. So it's going to trace that. Now there's times where you'll see it and it might look kind of weird like this, where it's tracing just certain things because it's not picking up the red. All you have to do is increase this. 240 is a really good spot. 230 is most common, but 240 will, for complex graphics, will leave you nice and set up. So after I've done that, everything looks good here. I'm going to hit the expand button. Okay, this part's pretty automated. Once you get the hang of it, it only takes 2 or 3 clicks. You're not going to be sitting there, every single time going through every single expand setting. But as you can see here, we are set. Oh, what's happened here? All right, let's do this again. For some reason, it did it on the main one. So let's only click this one, hit silhouette, hit expand. As you can see, that was a lot simpler than normal. And then we're going to hit, well, just so we can see where we're at. So you can see here, this is the cut line. I like to set my cut line to a specific color and name. So if you go into here, you'll see this, you can move this out of the group if you'd like, it doesn't matter. You can see here we have the cut file color is black currently. In my Adobe library, this is one way to easily set the cut, is you make sure that the stroke is in front of the fill, and then you hit cut contour. That's the name of my cut line. So the name of the stroke is actually cut contour. It's not the CMYK color that you'll see up top here. It's actually named cut contour. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but if you do want to, all you have to do is go to this file here. You can click these little things here, and then you can new swatch, and then once you do that, you can do change it to cut contour. Once you do that, you can drag this actual file into over here into your Adobe library. But again, just so you can see it, this is the color 91C848. This is the color that I use for all of my cut files. That way when I load it into Flexi here, it'll actually detect that it's a cut file. So obviously we don't want to cut straight to the edge here. The customer wants a white border, so we're going to hit Object, and then we're going to hit Path, and then we're going to hit Offset Path. Okay, you want to make sure that round is selected, otherwise it'll have sharp edges in certain angles, and you don't want that. You're going to hit round. Now the two most common widths for the offset are 0.125 and then 0.09. I'm going to do 0.09 here because for simple shapes like this, you don't need a huge one, but when you're doing custom, contours where it's a little bit more complex, 0.125 allows you to have a bit more cushion in between tight spots. So let's go ahead and set to 0.09 and hit OK. Now you can see we have two cut files here. We need to combine these. So a good way to do this is hitting Shift M. This will work on Windows or Mac, and just holding Shift after doing that, and then just selecting it. Okay, when you hold Shift M, it's going to create this little select dialog, and it'll allow you to select pretty much anything that you select here will be combined into one path. All right, so you have this. Now, this is a simple shape. If you had a complex shape and a bunch of ridges, so if you click the curvature tool here, you can see every little node here, right? You can see if you want to delete one, you can delete one manually, or if you wanted to, I don't need for this one, but if you wanted to, you can go to Path, Simplify, and that will essentially simplify your nodes. I don't need to here because for simple shapes, sometimes that can mess with the evenness of the contour. Now you can see here, this has a little bit of a weird hump. That's okay. If I wanted to fix just that spot, you're going to click this here, go to Smooth Tool, and just kind of hover near where that's at. And see, like that looks kind of weird because of this dip. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave the dip there. I think it'll look more natural to the contour of the actual shape. All right. Now I always do, for the path, I always do 0.5 pixels, or sorry, 0.5 points for the stroke. This is just the common way to do it. It allows me not to have to change anything when I move it over. So we're going to hit Select All. Everything looks good. It looks like the contour is on the outside of the bounding box of the image, so that allows us to set the actual dimension of this sticker. So the highest point is 3.061. The customer wants a 2-inch sticker, so I'm going to hit 2. As you can see here, the max width is 2 inches and the other height is 1.98. And all I have to do now is hit Control-Shift-S, go into their file, Harvest Yoga. You can see here, you are worth. I meant to say you are worthy, but whatever. I don't mess with any of these settings here. Leave this all default. Hit OK. You can see I already have it in here, but let's go ahead and hit Control-O into my software, which is Flexi, and we're going to load in the one that we just did. I'm going to hit Open. As you can see here, everything's set up, right? I already have the cut file. Normally, what I would have to do is do everything you just saw, and then hit this Cut Contour button. I can go up and down with the contour, and then when I would create the new contour, it would show up here. I don't need to do that because my customer, like you, has made it easy. But if you're a print shop and watching, this is the way to do it. You would just hit the cut contour button. It would create the cut contour, and you would, I'll just show you actually. So let's say they didn't set up the cut contour button, because if you're in Flexi, you're likely a print shop and you're looking to do it yourself. So let's say they didn't set the contour line up, and you did that in Illustrator. You went through that whole process, but you didn't have a named file. So what you would do is you would click this cut contour button. You would hit the check mark to add it, and then you'll see it over here. You'll need to separate the cut contour from the main one. As you can see, they're slightly different colors. The bottom one's always going to be the old one. You're going to hit delete, and now you have a contour line. If you wanted to change the nodes in this, what you can do is go to this reduce points button. You can reduce it by, let's say, 10%, and now you've got a little bit smoother. This tool's a little bit better than the one that's in Illustrator. And then now you're going to click Rip and Print or Control H. So when you click this, you'll see here it's loaded one sticker. Okay. Now obviously we want to print more than one sticker. Our material's 54 inches long or wide. So let's say we want to do 150 of these. Push it all the way to the end. The distance I like to do most common is 0.15, but as you can see here, that doesn't give me extra space. So let's say if I did 1.14, no, 0.125. The lowest I'll go is 0.1. All right, so let's say 1.1. All right, so now you can see 1.1 drops it down. All right, now obviously if they ordered 100 stickers, you don't want to do the entire row, especially for ink costs. Now my ICC profiles and all this kind of stuff is per printer. Every single printer is going to be different. You can see the lights. I'm going to move because all the lights just turned off. These lights are set on automatic time. So in here you'll see normally it'll detect. I have the cut file or the cut contour line that came from Illustrator set as my default color, so that's why it did say none here, but normally it would say your plotter condition. Make sure this is, if you double click this, make sure it's only condition checked. If you have anything else checked, then it won't use the plotter settings, right? It'll use what's put in here, and you're going to have a headache when you go to print. So make sure that condition is the only thing connected. All right. In here, you can set your X marks, your roll, all that kind of stuff. If you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. This isn't really as important. Every person's job is different. As you can see here, you can move this around. Obviously, that will affect it, but I always drag it to the bottom right. And then now, when I hit send, what this will do is send it over to Production Manager. This takes a second or two for it to load in, no matter how powerful your computer is. Now you can see here, I have the file. It's set up. Everything's good to go. So yeah, that's how I set it up. Once I drag this up to here, it'll print, and then the detection on the machine for the cutter will detect the registration marks, the barcode, the cut line, all of that stuff. So if you have any questions regarding anything else, leave a comment below and I'll get you taken care of. But that's how I set up the cut file. That's how I set up the Flexi file and the Production Manager file. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you found this useful. Thanks again for watching.